Heavy, continuous rainfall from Tropical Depression Verbena triggered significant flooding across southern Cebu on Tuesday, November 25th, leading to the preemptive and forced evacuation of hundreds of residents. Despite widespread disruption and damage to property and infrastructure, Cebu provincial authorities proudly reported 0 casualties due to proactive disaster response measures. Verbena, internationally known as Koto, made multiple landfalls as a tropical depression across the Visayas region on Monday and Tuesday, with its trough bringing intense downpours that caused rivers and spillways to overflow in several towns. The most severe impact was felt in southern Cebu, where heavy flooding submerged low-lying areas in cities and municipalities including Carcar City, Dumanjug, Ronda, and Barili. In Carcar City, 439 individuals from 4 different barangays villages were rapidly moved to the city gymnasium as the Poblacion I spillway breached its banks around 2 a.m. Tuesday. Joyce Maypueo, head of the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, noted that the rains intensified past 11 p.m. Monday, catching some residents off guard. Major roads were briefly rendered impassable, and several commercial establishments, including shops and gasoline stations, reported flooding. A flood control wall in Barangay Kang-actol, Dumanjug, also collapsed under the pressure of the rising water, prompting local officials to initiate an investigation into the structural failure. In Barili, the Sta Ana River swelled unexpectedly between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., affecting 425 residents who were subsequently evacuated. Cebu officials lauded the effectiveness of preemptive evacuations and swift government response for the lack of fatalities. Governor Pamela Buricuatro, who postponed a flight to Manila to oversee relief operations, visited affected areas like Carcar and praised local mayors for their proactive approach. That's the difference when the mayor is present and proactive. Immediate forced evacuation made the difference in mitigating casualties and damages, Buricuatro stated. The provincial government immediately distributed essential aid, including thousands of hot meals, food packs, bottled water, and 210 boxes of medicine. An assessment of equipment needs is currently underway to facilitate ongoing relief efforts. While the mainland dealt with floods, the storm's strong winds and rough seas caused damage in coastal areas. On Olango Island, part of Lapu-Lapu City, more than 20 houses suffered damage, a number higher than during the recent Typhoon Tino, according to Barangay Captain June Casayo. Additionally, 9 pump boats were sunk or disabled by rough sea conditions. 8 households were evacuated to a local daycare center as a precautionary measure against rising seawater. As of Tuesday afternoon, PAGASA, Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, removed Cebu from tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 as the tropical depression moved away from the region. Verbena has since intensified into a tropical storm and is currently moving west-northwestward over the West Philippine Sea, approaching the Calamian Islands and Palawan. It is forecast to exit the Philippine Area of Responsibility by Thursday morning, November 27th. Authorities continue to urge residents to remain vigilant and follow official updates as the weather disturbance moves further away, leaving behind the immediate task of recovery and damage assessment in the wake of its heavy rains. Meanwhile, Dumanjug largely avoided major residential flooding in some areas due to proactive measures. The impact of Tropical Depression Verbena was still felt acutely, most notably with the collapse of a critical flood control structure in Barangay Kang-actol. The incident, captured in widely circulated images online, has prompted Dumanjug Mayor Efren Guntrano Gun Gika to launch an immediate investigation into the structural failure. The flood control project in Barangay Kang-actol, intended to mitigate the effects of an overflowing river, gave way on Tuesday, November 25th, under the immense pressure of floodwaters and heavy rains spawned by Verbena. Photos posted by Mayor Gika on social media showed the extent of the damage to the revetment wall project, which has raised immediate questions among residents and officials regarding the quality of its construction. The municipal government has confirmed that an investigation is underway to determine the exact cause of the collapse and to hold any responsible parties accountable. The project in question, a contract for the construction of a revetment wall at the boundary of barangays Colabdangan and Kang-actol, was valued at over 95 million Cuban pesos, approximately 1.9 million US dollars. The collapse highlighted concerns about the effectiveness of flood control projects in Cebu, a province that has received significant funding for such infrastructure in recent years. Dumanjug was one of several southern Cebu towns, including Carcar City, Barili, and Ronda, to experience severe river swelling and general flooding as Verbena made landfall in nearby Talisay City early Tuesday morning. However, the experience within the municipality was not uniform. In contrast to the incident in Kang-actol, a separate reinforced river embankment project in Barangay Manlapay was credited with successfully protecting homes and farmlands from the nearby river's overflow. Locals in Manlapay expressed relief and gratitude that these preventive measures held strong during the storm, demonstrating the critical role of robust infrastructure in disaster mitigation. Overall, while agricultural damage, including the inundation of rice fields and loss of some farm animals, was reported in low-lying areas of Dumanjug, local officials and the Office of Civil Defense Region 7 classified the overall impact as manageable, thanks in part to effective pre-storm preparations and community cooperation. Provincial disaster officials proudly maintained a record of 0 casualties across southern Cebu, including Dumanjug, attributing this success to timely preemptive evacuations mandated by local government units. Despite the lack of human fatalities, residents in Dumanjug and surrounding areas remain highly alert. OCD 7 Director Joel Arestin noted that many residents are still dealing with the trauma and ongoing clearing operations from previous calamities, such as a recent earthquake and Typhoon Tino. The rapid rise of floodwaters in affected areas, even if temporary, continues to pose a significant psychological strain on vulnerable communities. As of Wednesday, floodwaters in Dumanjug and other parts of southern Cebu have largely subsided. The provincial government has initiated relief efforts, including the distribution of food packs and medicines, and is assessing further equipment needs for recovery operations. Tropical Storm Verbena has since moved away from the Visayas region and is currently in the West Philippine Sea, expected to exit the Philippine Area of Responsibility by Thursday morning. Local authorities in Dumanjug continue to monitor the situation closely and urge residents to stay vigilant as cleanup begins and the investigation into the collapsed flood control wall proceeds. The primary impact in Ronda, a municipality with a significant agricultural base, was the damage to crops. The PDR-RMO chief, Ret. Colonel Dennis Pastor, confirmed that the flooding in the southern towns, including Ronda, ravaged rice fields and killed some farm animals. This agricultural loss represents a significant blow to local farmers, adding to the recovery challenges faced by communities still reeling from a recent earthquake and Typhoon Tino. The most positive outcome amid the disruption was the lack of human casualties. Provincial officials have widely praised local government units like Ronda for their adherence to preemptive evacuation advisories. "This is the best response, 0 casualties," said Dennis Pastor, PDR-RMO head, on Tuesday. He emphasized that the non-complacent attitude of local officials and the full cooperation of residents in following instructions made all the difference in mitigating what could have been a tragic event. The provincial government was quick to mobilize relief efforts, ensuring that affected areas received immediate assistance, including food packs, bottled water, and medicine, although specific distribution figures for Ronda were aggregated within the provincial response. As of Wednesday, floodwaters in Ronda had largely subsided, and major roads in the municipality were reported as passable. Local residents have begun the extensive cleanup process to clear debris from their homes and properties. PAGASA, Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, has lifted the tropical cyclone wind signal from Cebu as Tropical Depression Verbena moved westward across the Visayas and intensified into a tropical storm over the West Philippine Sea. While the immediate danger has passed for Ronda, authorities continue to monitor the long-term recovery needs and advise residents to stay alert for future weather disturbances, particularly as the province remains susceptible to the effects of heavy rainfall and potential landslides.
So, amo ni siya, sa may Henrita Village, nga makita natin karon, taas